let's get to the reason that we really did this podcast. Welcome back to your daily basketball recap. My name is Levi Jacob,
I'm Jason Blatt.
and this is a pre-recorded episode. Today, or tomorrow, technically speaking, for all of you, we're going to be talking about the Los Angeles Lakers. As of right now, we are, I think, 3 days removed from finding out that Luka and Austin are probably going to be out for at least a month each, if not more time than that. LeBron James did his best the other night against Coop.
Mavs.
It isn't pretty. It isn't pretty now, unfortunately, for the Lakers. And it got us into an interesting discussion where you mentioned to me that whatever competitive edge that the Lakers held against other teams is now potentially extinguished, and there was really a chance that this team could have gone the distance. And I want you to expand on that. Give your perspective, please, for the fellow people watching us.
Well, I think we need to begin with a quick moment of silence for Luka and AR's health and the Lakers season. So let's thank you for respecting. Now on to the talk. I'm not gonna lie, and I know I told this to Levi. This was my first year playing fantasy, and I became a basketball fan because I became a Lakers fan because I became a Kobe fan. And this year, I was just more locked onto fantasy, more locked into the league that I felt like I let my fandom take a little bit of a hit. For our avid watchers of the pod may recall that my first time on the show was the preseason when we were talking about the Lakers. And since then I've just been on to do some recaps and talk about the league because I've been distracted. My purple and gold has been hiding for way too long. And I think it's time we refocus on that a little bit. Especially at least right here, right now. In 2003, the Cleveland Cavaliers with the first overall pick. No, I'm kidding. Luka, AR, LeBron, Rui, Laravia, whoever you want, and Aiton was really starting to click. It was really starting to click. Marcus Smart was conducting himself as a fantastic on-ball defender, and the Lakers really looked like a solid roster. Yes, there were holes, and I think the Lakers struggled against and would continue to struggle against the fast, young, frisky teams. But outside of, let's say, the Thunder, the Timberwolves, and the Pistons, who are like the young, frisky, fast teams, I would give the Lakers more than a puncher's chance against everyone else. And the offense that JJ was coming up with, and the on-court Bill Russell style coach that LeBron was becoming, everything was really starting to click. And as a Lakers fan who believes it's championship or bust, I was seeing the vision. I was seeing Rob Pelinka on the sidelines, watching in glee as his plan came to fruition of drugging, the Dallas Mavericks front office back in the day to make that phone call. It was there for the taking. I saw holes in every other team except for the Thunder. And I really, fully healthy team, I could have seen it happening. I think Luka made a strong MVP case, and I have a lot of arguments as to why Luka should be the MVP this season. I'm just devastated. I'm devastated because Luka's hamstring has been a recurring issue, and I am frustrated that there have been moments this season where he's sat out a game here and there for that hamstring, but he was forced to not take an extended stay because of this Michiganah 65 game rule. Austin, having never been injured once in his life, at least basketball injuries, to be suffering it at the worst time. It's really rough, and the trajectory and the postseason are in jeopardy. And I think Luka needs to come back healthy if we are even going to remotely contend to get past the first round. And at the current moment, I unless the gods, decide that we need to be in the second round, I don't see our path towards success.
So here's my issue as far as the Lakers approach as it stands. They were getting close to being, I think, the 12th best defense in the league before this week, which was pretty surprising, I feel like, for most people, because of the fact that Luka, notably, when talking about MVP stuff, people usually dock him for the defense. JJ, I think clearly has shown himself to be a very excellent coach because he's able to utilize certain player strengths, including like DeAndre Ayton, for example, um, and leverage that into covering up a lot of inefficiencies of certain other players on the court, whether that be Austin Reeves or Luka or LeBron, whenever he wants to take a play off, which is most oftentimes on defense. There was a great Ryan Russillo. I don't know if you heard this. Ryan Russillo had a great bit where he was like, LeBron is leading the league in fast break points. And people would be like, whoa, that means that he's really getting up and down the court. And Ryan Russillo was like, no, it's just because he doesn't go back on defense. And it's like a really funny thing to hear because when you watch stuff back, you're like, oh yeah, no, he does. He's 41, you know? I'm just a little bit confused as to the fact that last season, I guess the Lakers would count last season as a success in some capacity because they made it into the second round of the playoffs with this, team that was kind of pulled together at the last minute. But where my confusion comes to play is I feel like we've seen more and more when you're giving a player or multiple players very high usage, it's kind of a mistake nowadays to not like aside from all the all NBA teams and the MVP, whatever, it's kind of a mistake to not factor in that they will be likely sidelined for portions of the season, if not some, unfortunate injuries like that. And in the Lakers situation, I think that they assumed that Reeves would shoulder the burden of Luka and LeBron whenever they weren't around. But aside from that, there's not not really many other people who are able to create their own shots. And that's kind of like a weird oversight to me. Like you saw like Luke Kennard was doing it in the game against the Mavericks. Luke Kennard is fine. He's a good shooter. He's been very, very effective in shooting off the three from LeBron, but and the other guys, the truth is. But I just feel like it's a weird. There's a lot of guys I feel like on the bench that could have been more useful in other places that they could have traded, and they just like Gabe Vincent. It's good that he's in Atlanta now, but who Dalton Connect is still on the team. I understand he probably doesn't have much of a trade value, but still try to figure out get Cormac Ryan, get Cormac like something. It's just so bizarre to me. I really don't understand it. I don't understand the thought process of kind of watching this play out and letting it play out and not trying to do something else here. Like this is a very, very tight situation in which they don't have really the ability to sign other people. And
Yeah.
they didn't really do much as far as a trade deadline. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in terms of what you said, for defensive, a lot of points that you raised. I think a few things I want to point out. One, Luka's defensive ratings here has been top 10 for guards in the league. He has been really getting on defense, and it's much less about um, defensive prowess. It's just the fact that this season's been Luka's get back into shape, prove the haters wrong season, which means he's been getting on back on defense, and he's been diverting guards to pass rather than shoot. And his defensive ratings has been like in the 110s or something like that, which is top 5 for a guard all season. That's the first point. The second point, in terms of the roster, you're right. There are a lot of moves, and a more Sam Presti-esque GM may have done a lot more this season for the Lakers roster, recognizing what we have and what we could do. Apparently, Dalton Connect was shopped around, but he has no value. Apparently, Gabe Vincent was shopped around for more, and he had no value. In terms of the rest of the guys on the bench who aren't doing much, I think that Jake LaRavia is a new addition this year that he's been a fantastic role player for what LeBron needs. I think that his usage will go up in the playoffs, and I think if he fills the right role, he'll be a very important piece. I think Rui, when we're healthy, is also exactly what we need. He is a 3-point shooter. And the best thing to put in front of LeBron James is a 3-point shooter. So I don't know if I necessarily agree that the roster is kind of garbage when fully healthy. I think that we fill every hole. I think we are missing 2 pieces. I think we're missing 2 pieces. And I if I was the Lakers GM, I would do what we did 2 seasons ago, which was 10 minutes before the playoffs. We signed Tristan Thompson and Alex Len. You remember that? Just last minute, 2 guys to throw onto the roster because we needed a big. We just want someone to stand on the post and just be there. And I think especially if we are playing the Rockets in the first round, I'd love to see us just sign a big guy. I don't care who it is. Get us one dominant big guy to stand in the paint to bother the heck out of Şengün because there's nothing Şengün falls against other than big, scary defensive menaces. And I'd love to see us do something like that. And if we can sign just a nothing 3-and-D guy, someone who can shoot 5 threes a game and make 3 or 4 of them and could just put his hands up and maybe hopefully just distract one of the guards. There are a million guys in free agency right now. I'd love just to see 2 of those guys. We have the roster spots. Cut Kobe Buffkin if we need to, but that's a move. That's the move, and that's how we at least put up a fight against the Rockets. Because I personally I'm under the impression that Luka just went over to Europe. Hopefully, he is going to get some crazy care on that hamstring. He could come back in 5 weeks. If he can come back in 5 weeks, we're going to be in game 3 or 4 in the first round. If he could join back into game 3 or 4 and we at least split the series because we pushed Alperen Şengün to his to cry and go back home, we have more than a puncher's chance.
I feel like, depending on obviously who they play in the playoffs, it'll make a big deal to their rotations. I think one piece of the Lakers season that I've really appreciated a lot that people have not given enough credit to is I think that Marcus Smart has really, really been excellent for them. And I think that if he's able to function, like you saw it with the Celtics, he's not winning you series. There are certain games that he can win you, and they're not really relying on him for his offensive prowess, but it exists within his play, is the truth. He's become much more hyper efficient. There's a game that you can, you know, I think that he has the capacity, like if you're going to lose anyways, if you don't have that extra firepower, then you might as well kind of lean into it and see if he has 3 threes in him that night. Like he's showed you not as much this season, but flashes of that ability at certain points. He can't get too trigger happy, so that's kind of a JJ Redick thing to keep an eye on. But I think that he has the capacity to be a two-way perimeter threat at certain periods throughout a game. The playoffs are going to be super, super interesting to me as far as matchups and seeding, especially in the West. My worry is just more so that that LeBron says, all in. It's on me to figure out how to do all this stuff. He tries to take on so much usage, and then like he gets injured because I just feel like that's
Yeah,
like that's not helping anybody.
yeah. I would say one thing that I want to see of a bit more in the playoffs, and I'd love to see them practices. I think we have 3 games left this week. I'd love to see us trying to give Nick Smith Jr. some off the bench point of attack minutes because I don't think he's going to win us games, but I think it'll give LeBron time to sit because the only solid point guard we have is Nick Smith Jr. now that AR and Luka are both injured. I don't want Bronny playing during the playoffs.
Can I ask you a question? What's the deal with why do people hate Bronny so much? I mean,
I don't
obviously,
hate Bronny.
like all the nepotism stuff, whatever. I
No,
think that
I
he's
don't hate
actually
Bronny.
really solid.
I think Bronny James is a really, really solid basketball player. I think Bronny James
He's not a point
played
guard, but yeah.
fantastic in the G League, and I think he's had some great seasons. I think that Bronny James is 3.5 inches taller than me, and he is he just doesn't have the right head right now. He doesn't. Like he can shoot really well, and I think that mentored by Luke Kennard, I think he could be a Luke Kennard. I think the problem is because of all the nepotism and all this, like we're expecting the next coming of LeBron James, a do-it-all point forward who could literally play all 5 positions and play in the NBA for 30 years. I wouldn't expect that from Bronny, and I think part of the hate comes from the fact that either you expect him to be like that, and so you're like, why are you falling short? Or you hate that he was drafted if he's not like that. Like why draft LeBron's son for nepotism if he's not even going to be like LeBron? I think we need to throw all that aside. He was drafted 55th overall because he is a 55th overall level player. Like Mac McClung was drafted higher than him in his respective draft. And I don't know if Mac McClung is necessarily a million times better than Bronny James. I think Bronny gets a lot of hate because no one knows what his expectations should be. I don't want to see Bronny playing point guard, but I think in over the next few games, and I'm going to be very locked in, I want to see Nick Smith Jr. playing off the bench minutes, surround him with Rui and Laravia and Kennard, guys who could generate their own shots, and let's see what happens. Can we turn 20 minutes of off the bench time where LeBron gets to rest for 15, 20 minutes a game to Nick Smith Jr. getting our three shooters open, get them the ball and see what they can do. And I think considering we're going up against probably the Rockets in the first round, and the Rockets are kind of falling apart and don't really have a great perimeter defender except for Amen, that could be something. It really could be something.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I think also he's shown that he can be one of those perimeter guards types that LeBron likes to play with, and I just feel like it's like the sky's the limit as far as right now he's not really providing anything to this Lakers team, and I think that he could be a positive for them. So there's kind of no reason not to, especially because the seating is kind of cemented. So yeah,
We could drop to the four, but it's unlikely.
who's for?
I think it's
Is it the
currently
Wolves?
no, I
The
think it's
Nuggets?
Denver. It's Denver.
Yeah, man, they're good. I'm scared of Denver.
I'm looking right now. Let's
Um,
look at these. Malik Beasley. Who could we pick up? Lonzo's a free agent. That's actually not.
no,
That's
don't do
that's
that.
not that's not bad.
Don't get stuck in the trap. Don't get stuck in the trap. He's not
But
going to do anything.
give him 10 minutes a night to hold the ball.
Can't. He can't. He's not going to be there. Don't do it. Don't do it. I don't want to hear from Lakers fans about Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball is the poor guy. Let him
You know who else is a
walk
free
for a
agent
few
right
days
now?
in a row in his life.
You know who's a free agent right now that can create shots? This would be crazy. Wow, imagine the Lakers are like, we need to find someone, not a shooter, just we need a facilitator, someone who could pass and create shots. Free agent available right now, Ben Simmons.
I just leave him alone. You know what I'm saying?
He just won the fishing competition. He's probably in a great place mentally. Um,
Probably
no, but
not.
in all seriousness, looking at the available guys, I would say the only if I right now had my pick, and I would take two guys that are currently sitting in free agency that could be helpful to complete the season. I would take so Rob Pelinka. I hope you're listening. Please
I thought you were saying Rob
sign.
Pelinka as a free agent.
No, Rob Pelinka. Please sign the following players for the next month. I will inform you who they should be. They are going to be, and I'm deciding in three, two, done. Spencer Dinwiddie. I want Dinwiddie on the roster. I think he could hold up the point guard
Okay.
minutes for 15, 20 minutes. Again, you have to keep in mind, we're talking about someone that could be on the court for anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes to facilitate to a team full of shot creators. You can give Rui the ball and he can get a You can give Larabia the ball and he can get a move. Luke Kennard can shoot at like a 50% clip from anywhere beyond the 3 point line. Spencer Dinwiddie is a passable point guard. And I want a big guy to just stand there and scare Shangun. So give me Jeremiah Robinson. OKC legend.
I would I would love I would love if somehow the Wizards didn't pick up Julian Reese and
Julian
Lakers
Reese would be
signed
great.
him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
I think
I'm
it'd be
not.
such a fun bit.
My problem is I can't tell with these players who have been playing for these tanking teams because they're not given enough minutes. Like Julian Reese
No, but he
gets DMPs.
hustles. He gets
Yeah,
DMPs because he was signed a 10-day contract. They even talk about it on the Yahoo thing. He signed a 10-day contract, and they're like trying to like preserve the 10-day It was just weird. It's very, very weird. The Wizards are weird. It's not a him thing. It's a them thing.
I actually
Because the
wanted to
truth is
pick him
that when
up
you have a
in our
guy,
league. I just don't know how many games he can play.
I also do. No, I wouldn't pick him up. I wouldn't pick him up.
Yeah,
Where is Malachi Branham right now? Josh Christopher, I don't think is on a team. I'm looking at all these players. Where's that? What's that guy's name? Never mind. You know what? Doesn't matter. This is like a early this is a 2010s who's who of random guys who signed 10-day contracts. What about what about you know what? Let's talk about an April legend. Okay, why don't they sign Malachi Flynn? Huh?
that's
Cam
your.
Thomas. Oh, he can't. Not eligible
No,
for
Cam
playoffs.
Thomas is ineligible, but Malachi Flynn. I know you're kidding. That's not a bad call.
Is Cole Anthony on a team?
Cole Anthony is also a free agent, but if I was between Cole Anthony and Spencer Dinwiddie, I'd take Spencer Dinwiddie.
Alfred Payton?
Alfred Payton is
I don't think
useless.
any. Dennis Smith Jr. I listen. I don't think any of these guys are really going to be. I don't know. I don't
No,
love it next
actually,
to
I
a
don't.
LeBron who doesn't.
It's not next to a LeBron. It's Nick. LeBron will be playing point guard in the starting lineup. It's look. If we have LeBron at the one, Kennard at the 2, Laravia at the 3, Rui at the 4, Ayton at the 5. Solid unit. Marcus Smart in and out of the starting lineup to the six-man role. That's great. And again, this is for 3 games. Can we win one of 3 games against the Rockets with Kevin Durant tweeting that Dorian Finney-Smith doesn't wipe his butt after using the toilet? Like, can we get those Marcus Smart in and out? Then we have a bench unit of Nick Smith Jr. facilitating a solid offense to some of those guys, to Jackson Hayes, to Bronny Smith, to Bronny James behind the arc. That's not a terrible team. Like that team could win 1 out of 3 games.
Okay, so I wanna move on from this point, but I wanna get your take on this other approach that I want to. I'm doing a little bit of Bill Simmons right now. What if you know when he like just doesn't engage with what someone says? It's hilarious to me, but I understand it now when you're trying to like, facilitate like okay, what you said piqued my interest. Dig deeper into Kevin Durant burners accounts and try to get him suspended. Really, really rile up the hatred between, like, go out there and be like, just Marcus Smart, just get into Jabari Smith Jr. and be like, hey, remember when Kevin Durant just straight up called you mentally deficient? Like, go punch him in the face. Go Draymond Green Kevin Durant.
Wait, can I actually wait, actual like, honest response, like actual honest response, and I'm for the viewers, I'm not a psychopath. Just like I want to clarify that I'm not a
Imagine,
psychopath.
imagine if you were like, I don't think that was Kevin Durant. Okay, yeah, sorry, keep going.
No. It definitely was Kevin Durant. I'm not a psychopath. I'm not trying to like just like all these prefaces. Levy can attest. I'm a normal human being. One thing that I've always been curious about, like over my time as an NBA fan, now that this is the right thing to do, and I'm not promoting it like ethically, why would you not have your worst player at play a few minutes in game 1 or 2 of a series to try and get the best player to foul out? Why would you not? Like, it's basically Hack-a-Shack on fleek. Like, why would, let's say, first game against the Rockets, right? We have Jackson Hayes get on the court and just on Kevin Durant all night until Kevin Durant gets pissed off enough that he starts fouling back. Get Kevin Durant 2 techs or 5 fouls. I don't care if Jackson Hayes gets kicked out too.
I think the reason why is I think it's an Adam Silver thing. And the reason I say that is because I think that was how certain series went, and it damages the product greatly because the fans don't want to watch somebody at the free throw line for the majority of the game. And I think that I'm sure that Adam Silver on the back end is like, if you guys try to implement this, I will make sure that you're docked a second round pick or something. Like, I'm sure that
Right.
there are guarantees behind the scenes to make the game more interesting. Um,
It must be an internal because I honestly I know I referenced this earlier. Like I was thinking about this in the 2023 playoffs when the Lakers, like I mentioned this before, the Lakers signed Tristan Thompson, Alex Len. We had like a bunch of random bigs in our lineup. Like I was just, why did we not like these guys can bother Jokic? Like they're bigger than him. Like why did we not just play Alex Len for the first 10 minutes? Jokic will get at least 1 foul, probably a tech during those 10 minutes. Alex Len's annoying as heck. Sub him out, put in Tristan Thompson, do the same thing. Jokic would be out by the half every game.
he, I don't know if he wouldn't be out because the problem is that at that point you're giving that guy more opportunities at the line to score more points, and then on top of that, first off, you're challenging them to get 83. That's basically what's happening at that point. But
No, but
but
you're also pissing him off. Angry players
yes,
foul.
yes, but I think in the playoffs the refs kind of handle things a little bit differently. And when you get a reputation, like when they know that that's kind of what's happening, they kind of, I don't know. I don't know,
Maybe.
but I feel like there's certain like respecting the game aspects that they're trying to still maintain, especially in the more recent playoffs, like over the
Right.
last 2 years. So I don't know. It's a good question, but I think that I think that there are safety nets for it. Um, but for the sake of time, I want to get to this last point here, which is make make your Luka case for MVP. I don't care about the don't give me the 65 games rule. I think all of it's ridiculous anyways. He's applying for extenuating circumstances or something. I think that the league should give it to him. Practically, I think this is one of the best seasons that Luka's ever played. My argument, and again, there's definitely bias here, but even as far as Shea and Wemby, Jokic is a different story this year. It's not that he's not good, and it's not that he doesn't deserve it, and whatever. There can be a lot of deserving players, but not everybody's going to win. I just feel like with those other two guys, they've just meant more to their teams in what they have done than Luka this year. But I think that, like, if we're talking about like any given night, there's a top one player in the league. Luka is definitely within that conversation for sure.
I'll give you my thoughts. I think, and it's a few prongs, but I'm gonna try and be short for the sake of time. I think, first of all, let's do with the most basic thing, and I've noticed this to you in the past. I know Nick Wright loves this fact, and he's brings it up every other day. The NBA gives out 5 Player of the Month awards every year because the league it's 5.5 months and the best player every month. If Luka does not win the MVP this year, he will be the first player in NBA history to have the most Player of the Month awards and not win the MVP, which is bonkers because if you win the most Players of the Month, it means you have the best months. There are only 5 months. The best player for multiple months is probably the MVP of the season.
How many has he won?
It's current. There are 5 months. It's
Yeah, yeah.
Shea has won, Wemby has won, Jokic has won, Luka has 2.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's the first case of just like precedent, right? He'd be the first
This is
ever.
also for the Western Conference to be clear.
Yeah, yeah. The both.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. The East is a bit more messed up. Like the East is, I think, one per month or something. I don't know exactly. Um, but okay, take that into grain. This he'd be the first player ever to break the historical chain, and I think precedent matters. That's the first point. The second point is without the best player, right? The Thunder without Shea are a playoff team. The Spurs without Wemby, we know their record. They don't lose. The Nuggets without Jokic is a different story, but we'll get to him in a second. But I think if MVP means the most valuable player to your team, Shea and Wemby are not as valuable to their teams as Jokic and Luka are to their teams because Wemby and Shea are surrounded by an amazing roster with an amazing coach with an incredible GM. I think those points need to be accepted as well. Then we go to defense. I think when it comes to defense, there is a ranking, but I think all 4 of those players this season at least have been solid defensive players. So I think Wemby is the best for sure, but the next best defensive player is not one of our MVP candidates, right? Like all NBA first team from the 4 people I just mentioned will just have Wemby. There will be no Shea, maybe Shea, but there probably will not be Shea. There will not be Jokic, and there will not be Luka. And we also need to keep in fact, like just because you're all defensive first team doesn't mean you're the MVP. Like that's never been a precedent before. The argument for Luka is that Luka is on a trajectory this year to have multiple months with the most points created, not just scored, but also created in terms of playmaking, which is something very unique for a guard, right? With a guard, we care about different things than we care about for a center. So I think as a guard, he is a solid defender. He has the most players of the month. He has created the most shot this season of a guard in a very long time. This month, specifically, the last month of March, he has the 3rd greatest statistical season for a guard of all time. Last being Harden in 2019, one before that being MJ in 1983. And I think that beyond all of this, Luka's just due. And I think that the way it works is that I know this isn't something people like to hear, but sometimes players are just due. Like Derrick Rose was not the best player in 2011. He was just due. He was the best player on the best team. LeBron was coming off of 2. He was going in. He's going to have another 2 afterwards. He was just due. David Robinson and Charles Barkley, there was this whole thing about how MJ was so pissed off if they won it. No, just they weren't going to give MJ 10 MVPs. They were just due. And I think Luka had an incredible seasons in the past, but when you have Jokic averaging a triple double every 20 minutes, you have SGA being the driving force for the best built team in the last 10 years. Like, they're going to get it. Luka is just due. And so I think for all of those reasons, Luka should be the MVP.
The sole argument that I would make against that, as far as I think that Shea should win the MVP. That's my bias, and I'm very, very open about that. But I think in terms of Wemby, the argument for Wemby, when you say points created from Luka, right, in terms of the playmaking, Wemby, right, they always talk about like ball gravity. Offensively, Wemby cannot be allowed to stand in the paint. So there's a kind of looking at the in between spaces. It's difficult to gauge fully exactly how much gravity Wemby has, and I just feel like there's been a lot of discussion about what rank is he as far as top, what offensive player is he in the league. It's not that his offense is so nuanced, but at the same time, in a similar way to Donovan Clingan, who's really freaking tall, you can't let them too close to the rim because that's an automatic 2 points. Then Wemby also has the 3-point shot that goes in pretty frequently. Like, it's a very, very difficult thing. That mixed in with the fact that defensively, he deters the most shots and blocks the most shots. Like the limited minutes within the game thing, I don't think is a very serious argument for many people, right? If you go to per 36 numbers, if you really want to do that, blah, blah, all this stuff, he's each of these players are so much of one on the court, obviously, but to be able to match what he does, like to rank what he does versus what Luka and Shea do, it's a very, very difficult one-to-one to even make. Like he's so uniquely his own factor on the court that I just feel like we really haven't seen someone do this. So it's hard, like even narratively, it's hard for me to break away thinking that Luka is that um deviation from the
Right.
stream as opposed to what Wemby is providing to like just literally just purely narratively. I feel like it's a
It
difficult
just seems
sell.
like a lot of your argument makes a lot of sense for what you're saying right now, but it seems like your argument, like accepting your argument would be like, yeah, for sure he should be decoy. Like you've just gone on a
Yeah,
whole
but
rant as to
but I'm
why he
saying
should
but I'm
be,
saying
and you're
but
right.
both those things have to, like, meaning this is an argument that I've heard a lot of people say, which is you should have a separate MVP for offense, and then defensive player of the year is just a defensive
No, no, you
MVP,
shouldn't.
right?
You shouldn't. You should not, because the NFL is a league that has offense and defense because you have different players playing different positions. Or the offensive player of the year cannot be the defensive player of the year because your you know your D line is not playing quarterback. Like it's not how it works. In the NBA, defense wins championships, but we figure out, like, we understand who our best players are by how much they can do when the ball's in their hands, right? LeBron James is considered the GOAT not because of the number of shots he's blocked. That's just the fluff to the case, right? LeBron James can rebound, score, assist, shoot, play, like he can do all of that, and That's all on the offensive side. And I think the reason that the defensive player of the year exists is because sometimes the MVP cannot adequately account for how much defensive pressure you're putting on the opposing team. And I think Wemby, being as tall as he is, he's Donovan Clingan with Kevin Durant's skills. That's super duper impressive. And I think as he builds on his Kevin Durant side of the skill set, he will become an MVP candidate. At the current moment, he's still young. You're mentioning before how he's restricted from being in the paint. Yeah, if he's restricted from being in the paint, why are his assist numbers not 7, 8? Every time he's in the paint and he's running down the clock and he cannot shoot because either he's being double teamed or he's being held up. Why is he not like throwing the ball out for a 3 pointer to shoot? Because he doesn't have that IQ yet. He's not ready. He's not there. He's averaging 3 assists on the season because he is not the dominant. He's also surrounded by fantastic guards. That's also why he's able to do what he's able to do. That's my argument against Shea. Like you don't give the MVP to the person who's just the best player on the best team when the best team doesn't need the best player.
No, but that to me is not uh, in regards to Shea. Why Shea is clearly the MVP for me, like why I think that he really is because you're talking about great all-time guard seasons as a person who, if you look at his usage, it's so minimal compared to somebody like Luka. And I understand that he's playing with all these really, really great talents, but like it's so. Maybe we mentioned. Maybe I was talking to you a couple of weeks ago. There was a game in which he scored a crazy amount of points, and you just got to see that he scores in a way that Kevin Durant scores, but as a guard, but so incredibly efficiently that you don't notice that he's getting up to 30, and then he does, and you're like, what? When did he score 30 points? It's just he so goes like even when he's forcing it, he's very much with the flow of the game, but he's never. It's not Kobe like in the way that he's not demanding the ball. It's
He doesn't
very
need to.
much he's such a good right, but I'm saying but that's incredible to me, and he's doing it so hyper efficiently and so like he's
But why is that not a
it's not only
reflection
about what the
of the
offense
team? What you're saying
because
makes
of
sense, but
how
it seems
he's
like a reflection of
executing.
a.
There's a lot like I don't think that Luka would be doing efficiency wise what Shea is doing on this team. And that's
You
incredible to
don't
me.
think that
Like I don't think
the
that many
Thunder
other
last
players throughout
year?
history would have done this.
You don't think if you replaced Luka and Shea, they'd have the same exact season last year? I think for sure, for sure.
I'm not talking about last year though. I'm talking about this year. That's my
Oh,
point.
see,
I'm
but
saying this
we
year I
don't
think
know
is
what
very
but
different
we
from
don't know
last
what
year.
the results of this season's going to be.
You're right, but I'm saying but in regards to how Shea is playing this year, it's a completely different level. Compared to last year, Shea is it's a seriously, it's a whole other level of basketball player. He's so incredibly. I don't know to tell you that I've seen somebody who has the situational awareness and the flow that he has for the game. Not like a James Harden who makes a good basketball pass. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying it's so natural to him to be playing basketball right now that it's watching somebody who just understands like the rhythm of the game. Shea is so locked in. It's really incredible to watch. And I just think that like in terms of his like he's taking away from the basketball game so little. Like negatively, he's doing so little to affect his team poorly, and what he's providing on the positive side of the ball is immense. So I just feel like in regards to Wemby, right? You were saying Wemby doesn't, he's averaging 3 assists. That's not the problem with Shea. When the shot isn't there, he knows that the shot is not there. He's passing it off. He's getting it to the right guy. Like Luka is still taking the shots where he's highly contested. Shea he's doing that in certain situations where the clock is winding down, whatever. But if he knows that it doesn't make any sense, that it's not going to be the highest percentage shot, he's not taking it, and it's cool. It's just very very cool to see. I don't know.
I
But
think
I hear the argument as far as what Luka means to the team. I could definitely
I think
understand why
that
that would
the
be.
Shea's team is like I was just doing a quick glance while I was listening to you. On the Thunder, there are 15 players who are playing more than 10 minutes who have at least one assist per game, who are creating the shot. On the Lakers, there are six. Like there's just a lot. The coaching, the team, like Shea just has a lot more infrastructure that I think will forever boost whomever is in the Shea role, like the superstar on Thunder. I think will have the same boosting of. I think that Luka could replace Shea and they'd be the exact same team because the infrastructure is just perfect for a star player. That's why I think that Shea, as amazing as he is, I think he loses a few notches in my like respect pool. As much as I respect him 10 out of 10, I love him. He's amazing. I just think his infrastructure makes his life so much easier. Whereas players like Luka and Jokic and Wemby don't have that.
I think Wemby has that. I think the
Fine, Wemby
Spurs are.
Wemby has that. Wemby's
But also,
situation is just different.
as far as Jokic, I think Jokic also, to a certain extent, Jokic has. This is what we were watching when he was playing against the Spurs. What do you mean? If you need someone to facilitate at a very very high level, Jamal Murray has no problem doing that whatsoever. If you need
Yeah,
someone else to step in, like they have people to fill in for their deficiencies in a very very high level, and of course the ball ends up in their hands as the superstar. But
I know, but you're looking at like everyone creates shots on OKC. I'm looking right now who has more than 2 assists per game that plays more than 10 minutes on OKC. SGA, J-Dub, AJ Mitchell, Isaiah Hartenstein, Casey Wallace, Jalen Williams, Nikola Topic, like Alex Caruso, Aaron Wiggins, like they all
but
create shots.
who has the majority of the time with the ball in their hands on the team?
I'm not arguing that. I mean that if Shea needs to get rid of the
But I've
ball, he can throw it to 15 other people who know what to do with it.
Yes, but part of that is within a player's constitution to be able to get rid of the like meaning like Luca on his on when he was playing with Kyrie, for example, still wasn't doing that. They were taking turns. It wasn't as free flowing as that. I think it's in the constitution of the superstar that it's a very selfless nature. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that Luca is how he is. That's why he's as incredible as he is. But the fact that he's putting up stats that are so exclusive to heliocentric players with such high usage, Shea, and he does not play like that at all, I think is very evocative to me of why he actually is such a high level player, like how elite he really is. Because to not have the ball in your hands and as much as that, and still be able to execute at that level is just insane to me. It doesn't make any sense, you know.
I understand. I understand.
That's all. But as far as Luca, I I just feel like it's Wemby is too hot of a product right now. And it drives me nuts because they're like, oh well, Wemby jumped Shea in the rankings. I'm like, for what?
Um,
Like, why
I
did this?
think
You know,
Shea's gonna get it this year, and I'm not saying Shea doesn't deserve it. He's an amazing player. Shea's gonna get it this year, and I think Luca still will have all of the arguments I provided, and in terms of who's due, he deserves it before Wemby does. Wemby's a sophomore. He's been blessed by God with a lot of skill and physical capabilities the average person does not have. And I think that I respect someone like Luca who puts it together rather than Wemby who was born 7'9".
but that's not. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that argument as turn in terms of like it's not his fault that he's so tall and is very apt to deal with Like, because he also has a very high basketball IQ. That's the key. That's
I
why
don't
he's
think
so
so.
effective.
I think
Wemby?
Wemby's biggest hit right now is the one thing he does not have at the same level as the other three MVP contenders is the IQ.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm not saying that.
But I think that's the hit. I think the other three can create shots like no one else can. The other three, Wemby will have the ball and will sometimes just be confused. And you see that a
Yeah,
lot during games.
he's way too cocky. That's the truth. And like even in
Yeah.
his responses, like, and who was talking about this the other week? Nick Young. Nick Young was talking about how much he hates hearing Wemby talk because of how cocky he is. Like, you haven't won anything yet. 110%. The beating of the drum after they beat OKC to make that a regular thing that happens in Senate. Like, get over yourself, buddy. Okay,
No.
but
No. Yeah.
but it's the same thing with I think we spoke about this before also with James Harden, that year that he was fighting Giannis for the MVP, and they asked him, like, who do you think is the best player in the world is, and James Harden was like, me, obviously. And they were all like, what, James Harden? That's so laughable. It's so ridiculous. And it's like, no, you have to think that in order to be as good as James Harden. You, like, no matter if you are or you aren't, you got to think it. So
I mean,
I
James
don't
Harden
fault him
says
for it.
that. James Harden said that as a 10+ year vet who, like, was legitimately the best team on the whole offense. Like,
Yeah. The system was James Harden. The system was
yeah,
James Harden. Like, me, like, I don't fault him for it.
this is a sophomore player who's never played a playoff game, who finds himself confused many times during a regular NBA game.
But part of that is I think that the game is adapting to him. Like really realistically speaking, right? Joel Embiid last night played a very good game against him for the first half. That's because Joel Embiid knows how to use his body. He's very comfortable. He's more of a veteran at this point, right? Like he has a natural flow to the game of basketball, and you saw in his MVP season, he's a remarkable player. Jokic played a very, very good game against Wemby, obviously, but he held his own as a 22-year-old player. Like, I'm still very, very impressed by
Because
what
he's
he's been able to
skilled
put
and
together.
7'4".
But that's a big deal. Like, Joel Embiid is what, 7'2"? Like, it's not nothing, and
No,
there's a
of
lot of
course
other
not.
centers who get absolutely wrecked by those guys. So I just feel like I don't know. It's a very interesting race here at the end, and I wish that some people didn't get injured, so we could have seen in the 65 game rule, so we could have seen the proper fulfillment. Because now if Wemby's out and Luka's out, it's like stupid.
It is stupid.
I wish
I
we
mean,
could have seen the fulfillment.
If Wemby's out, I'll probably win fantasy. But
It's true.
but
It's
yeah,
true.
but yeah, no, it is a shame that we're just the 65 game rule should sure protected the regular season, but now we're all about to have a terrible week of basketball.
I appreciate you coming on to the pod today, and thank you all for listening and watching. And please let us know your thoughts, because wow, that other Wemby video got a lot of feedback, especially about my hair. That one guy. Jason, anything to say to our loving viewership?
Yeah. Comment below. MVP this season: Luka Doncic, SGA, Victor Wembanyama, Nikola Jokic, or
Jaylen Brown, Cormac Ryan.
Cormac Ryan.